high school was a suburban high school smack in the middle of the city. I think it was a suburban high school because kids were being bused in from the suburbs to our school. And our school had a goal of academic excellence. So all of us that were there were on a path of going to college. I think that was great because since you already knew that that's where you were going, it opened up a lot of opportunities to grow socially. You weren't worried too much about what you were going to be doing next. You already knew you were going to be going to college. So high school for me was a really great experience. I got to grow as a person and as a teenager, and I got to experience a lot of really great things and have a lot of fun doing it. So, for instance, I lettered in swimming when I was in high school. And I lettered academically like most other students in my high school did. And I got to meet a lot of lifelong friends that I still have today. And we got to do lots and lots of really silly things together and grow together as teenagers. And I also met my husband when I was in high school. This is him taking me to our senior prom. So I think that high school is a great time when students, young adults, really transform into just that, young adults. And I think that my high school experience is one that reflects that because we were very goal-oriented at my school and we were very dedicated to making sure that our next step was going to be a good step for us and that we were going to represent our school well. Thank you.
Please don't try to wake me up. Don't you wanna go with me? Please don't try to wake me up.
Welcome to When We Were Young. Parents, teachers, administrators, and other adults who have the privilege of working with today's high school teenagers are often beset by a fundamental question. What is a high school student? And what do I have to know to work with them effectively? Right now, I'd like to present to you some of the keys to understanding and working with high school students in When We Were Young, working with the high school student.
Right, so you're a freshman, it's your freshman year. What has been the most significant thing this year that's happening, or why do you enjoy your freshman year so much?
Because I did cheerleading, it was fun, got to meet new people, new friends. I haven't been to Boy and Girl School since 5th grade, so I'm just into that.
All right, is there anything else you would like to tell us about your freshman year here at Western?
It's fun, like get to do new things, explore the world, you know.
All right, thank you.
I was thinking I was going to go to the University of Louisville and major in either business management or account.
Research tells us that adolescents aged 11 to 18 years old are in a stage where a significant crisis is that of determining who they are, their identity, versus their role in life and society. Peers and cliques are typical as their emotional and social maturity develops. Physical maturity occurs almost entirely during these formative years, and oftentimes with this, sexual relationships may begin. And one thing I remember about high school is how enamored I was by the upperclassmen females. Woo! Yeah, I used to play basketball. I got cut my sophomore year, but when I was a freshman, there was a junior girl who I just thought was, pretty amazing. Well, she happened to come to one of our freshman basketball games, and I was so embarrassed by my hairless armpits that I never raised my elbows above my waist. I was trying to block shots. That was kind of a difficult time.
Walk a straight lace, a winding road, a can on shoulders, this heavy load. Though I try to hold it in, I'll be just fine if you let me in. Don't live my life within my means. Sometimes I'm dirty, other times I'm clean. And though I'm young, I'm feeling old. Though I'm humble, I feel so bold. Coming up for fresh air. Been down so
My favorite teacher was Sherry Duff. Her first year of teaching was my 9th grade year in our business magnet. She inspired me because she was the first entrepreneur that I really had personal interactions with.
One of the biggest things that I remember is the importance of academics while I was there. Grades, test scores were really important not only to my parents but the teachers and administrators. As Male is a distinguished school, it was really important to faculty, students, everybody to keep the grades up. And
I'm just trying right away. Just telling my story, my life, my way. I'm just trying right away. I'm just telling my story, my life, my way. Since I can remember, I never.
By the time students are 17 to 18 years old, researchers note that students have entered into a stage of early adulthood which is characterized by the major crisis of intimacy versus isolation, forming close relationships or struggling with loneliness and the lack of significant peer relationships. It is often during these later years of high school where recreational activities take on a significance as it is related to who they are with. Further, it is not uncommon for students in this stage to begin thinking more seriously about life partners in marriage.
For me, being a high school student has always meant to mature. All the things that you did back in middle school, you just can't do them anymore. And, the more I think about it, it's my senior year, and the more I think about all my past, I wouldn't change a thing simply because, I've worked hard to get here. I'm in a lot of leadership positions, and, if I had an advice for anybody, it's, don't let high school run away from you. It's the time right before college where, you still have a little bit of freedom, but you're still grasping to get everything together for the real world. So, take it how you can. In school, I've been passionate about very many things. Once again, I'm in a lot of leadership responsibilities for Beta Club, band, ROTC. I just do my best to do it all. If I had to really single something out, I couldn't. I'm passionate about Valley as a whole. This is my school, and I respect it, and I want to see it advance and go further, just like anyone else should.
I'm passionate about a lot of things. I really like, anything having to do with medicine or healthcare or psychology. I'm really into psychiatry, and I'd like to be a psychiatric nurse practitioner when I graduate high school. I really do like to help people, and I like to feel like I've made an impact in someone's life. As far as what teachers, principals, counselors, and so on and so forth need to know, I'd probably say that there's so many things that you could do right and wrong, but and I know that can be overwhelming, but I think that some of the best things that you can do is to remember to be patient and really put yourself in the student's shoes, because a lot of small things seem like really big deals to teenagers, but that's because in their mind it is. It's not, they don't have the mental ability to differentiate between what is small and what is big. So it's just so important to remember that if something's bothering them, then that's a big deal to them, and it shouldn't be trivialized in any way. It's also to remember that even though you are in a higher power, and even though you do have, higher credentials and whatnot, you don't have to talk down to these children. They're not stupid, and they're not ignorant, and they do have an idea of what adults are going through because they're becoming them themselves. And if nothing else, they know what it's like to have a hard time. So you don't have to act like they don't know anything. they're smarter than you think they are, and I believe that they could, impact your life just as you impact theirs. So, okay, I'm done.
High school students are beginning to be more interested in the world at large as they begin to understand how the past, present, and future connect together. They will begin to have opinions and thoughts on subjects like politics and social issues. When considering the physical development of a high school student, what are some key factors to consider?
Well, from body image to hygiene to decision making, when it comes to the physical development of a high school student, the issues are many and often uncomfortable for the students and teachers alike. A high school student's body may appear to be fully mature. They tend to gain height rapidly in this stage of development. Girls in particular are likely to reach sexual maturity by the age of 17. While boys, it does take a little bit longer. They can continue through puberty all the way through those teenage years. Depending on their stage of puberty, the physical characteristics of high school students often include acne, rapid growth spurts, adult hair growth, voice register changes for boys, and the beginnings of menstruation for girls. You will also see an improvement in both fine motor skills. So we're talking about maybe an increased ability with art, with those fine motor skills, and also some gains with their gross motor skills. So you'll see athletic development in the high school students change.
I think that taking more difficult courses in high school, especially AP courses, it helped give me a taste for what college classes are really going to be like. In classes like AP Language, we had to learn how to write using all different sorts of prompts, and so when I took classes this past year for my core curriculum in college, I was used to the large amounts of writing we had to do. And I was used to the difficult standards the teachers hold us to when they grade our papers.
Today I'll be talking about the social characteristics of typical high school students. High school students have a need for affiliations with peers and affiliations with families. They need consistency. They build relationships during this time in their life, and these relationships are the most important. They want to do their own thinking, but they rely on the value systems of their parents so that they are listening to you. And they will use your values to determine their own thoughts, their own opinions. And with these thoughts and opinions and values comes the emotions that high school students have. They also desire freedom. And oftentimes they want a lot of freedom, and then when they are given too much, they want less. They need adult interactions with adults that are not related to them as well as their parents. They want to do their own thinking, but again, rely on their parents' value systems. They need affirmation and love from parents. Even if they try to push you away, they need you to tell them that you love them. They want to be understood. They are also very aware of rightness and wrongness. There is no gray area for a high school student. And they will test their limits of acceptable behavior. They will go right to the edge to see how far that they can push you and how far they can get away with something. Among everything else, they need consistency.
Adolescence is an emotional roller coaster. This is a time when students are trying to figure out where they fit in the world and who they fit in amongst. Most times they will develop their own self-esteem based on those around them, how many friends they may or may not have, how many teams or cliques they've become a part of. And it's also a time when they still feel the world should revolve around them, but they're also trying to exert their own independence. And they're also developing their own responsibility in many ways, both at home, at school, possibly even at a job. They're all thinking about the future. And thinking about the future can be a scary and confusing time for most. They're nearing graduation. Many are thinking about going away to college, leaving home for the first time. Some may be thinking about getting a job or even joining the military. And some students may even be thinking about getting married. It's a pretty confusing time as well because they're beginning to develop emotions to a depth that they have never experienced before. They're thinking about difficulties or issues in life that they've previously misunderstood or been confused by. They're beginning to become emotionally invested in social issues or social groups, and they may even be falling in love for the first time. Adolescence is a roller coaster of emotions that adolescents oftentimes have difficulty navigating alone. And that's why it is our responsibility as educators and as parents to help them work through this time and navigate the difficulties and the different issues and situations that they will find themselves in.
My plans after high school are already set. I'm going to EKU, and I will be getting my bachelor's in music performance. After 4 years at EKU, I plan to go into the military service and join the World Naval Military Band, which is definitely going to be fun. Music has always been something that has guided me throughout my whole entire life, so I can't wait. After I get into the Navy, I'll plan on traveling around the world for a few years playing. Then I'll plan on becoming a Navy SEAL, and it's going to be a heck of an exciting time. Should I make it that far, I'll plan to retire and come back to Valley High School to teach the ROTC, and that'll be about it until I go into true retirement. If I had to say if there is anything that any one teacher, principal, or counselor would need to know about high school students, is that we all want to work hard. Nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to be a dummy. And sometimes it just takes some of us a little bit longer to mature. So, once again, my name is Saban Martinez-Rice, and I am a high school student.
This is Amy. Amy's a senior here at Western High School. Amy, what are your goals after high school?
I'm planning to go to Indiana University Southeast to do something in psychology or something sciencey and social. I don't know what job I want to do just yet, but I know that I want to help people and, you know, do medical type of work, I guess.
What, just curiosity, why'd you pick IUS, Indiana University Southeast?
Because I didn't want to go to JCTC like everyone else. I wanted a more specialized school, I guess you would say. And Louisville was too big. My mom was afraid I'd get lost. And it's a lot cheaper than most schools. It costs more for me to go to my Catholic school for 1 year than it does to go to IUS for 1 year. So.
Okay, so you transferred to Western. What year did you transfer to Western?
Sophomore year, halfway through.
Okay. Have you ever considered dropping out of high school?
No, that's really never come into my head. I really, I have the same views as my dad. I don't really have much respect for people who do that unless it's like a really good reason, because your education is the most important thing that you can have. And with the way the economy is in the world, you just need to have, you know, at least a high school diploma to do anything, you know, other than really work fast food or, you know, things like that if you want to go anywhere else.
Some of my favorite memories about high school were about the music. We listened to Mariah Carey, Boyz II Men, Billy Ray Cyrus, all types of genres. Of course, there was Aerosmith and Bon Jovi as well. And if anything could have been bigger than the music, it had to be the hairstyles. I think my best experiences in high school were simply because I made sure I was connected athletically, I played basketball all 4 years of school. Socially, I was part of groups such as the Students Against Drinking and Driving, the prom committees, the float committees for our homecoming parades. Academically, I was part of Beta Club and the Governor's Scholar Program. And my advice to any high school student is simply become connected, be a part of something.
What do you think college is going to be like? How's it going to be the same maybe as high school, or how's it going to be different than high school?
Just adjusting to the simple differences as class size, where you would have 30 in high school opposed to 300 at college.
What about like the, not necessarily the academics, but the life away from the classroom? Do you think that's going to be an adjustment for you?
Adjusting priorities. It's not only, if you don't live with your parents anymore, you'll have to do more for yourself and just take on the responsibilities.
Describe some of your significant relationships.
Well, along as what you know, my father is always telling us about who you know, because your knowledge can only take you so far. You got to have relationships with everyone you meet. So I make sure I have good attitudes and I'm positive with everyone I come across, whether it was in high school or outside of the classroom.
When I reflect back on my high school days, I can't help but smile. I had a great experience in high school. I graduated high school from Marshall County High School in 2002, so it wasn't just that long ago that I was actually in high school. And the music that we listened to back in high school, it varied. I mean, I didn't have really one set genre of music I actually listened to. It was a little bit of everything. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, column C, it didn't matter. I had a friend that was really big into the blues music, so we listened to Muddy Waters, B.B. King. We listened to a lot of Eric Clapton. When I was with my sports buddies, it was anything from System of a Down to Bush to Green Day to just all those hard rock bands from the late 90s and early part of this previous decade. Even Metallica was a big band that we used to listen to. Also, another one was rap and hip-hop.
Walk a straight lace, a winding road, a can on shoulders, this heavy load. Though I try to hold it in, I'll be just fine if you let me in. Don't live my life within my means. Sometimes I'm dirty, other times I'm clean. And though I'm young, I'm feeling old. Though I'm humble, I feel so bold. Coming up for fresh air. Been down so long, think I'll drown here. Build it up to break it down. Breathe it in so I can breathe it out. Coming up for the first time. Air all that I am, hang it on the line. Give it up to, give it up. Will you go the way you know I have to grow, take root? On solid ground I dig the natural flow. Soul food is what I need to feed me every day, won't you? Shake it, break it, pop it, like it this way. Drum thump pumping, people jumping, hands up in the air. Fists are pumping, moving something, shaking everywhere. I hear the world's a beating heart that beats for you and me. Digging, working, breaking ground, I feel the rising heat. You don't have to leave the bar alone tonight. All the ladies in the house, if you're digging on the sound, just move your hips, shake them out right now. You don't have to leave and head for home. No, don't go. Working hard but hardly business. All my people, are you with us? Yeah, let's get it on tonight. They say matchmaker, matchmaker, make the night last. I found me a find, I caught me a catch.